Hello everyone and welcome to a battle report, 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battles, the Empire versus Orcs and Goblins, 500 points, and it's a special scenario, and this is a trial game. I'm writing a escalation campaign along with a couple of scenarios, so this is to try out some rules and concepts, see if the point value works, because 500 points is not a lot for a Warhammer Fantasy game. So first off, we have the Empire, led by Fridolf the Fearless. He's a warrior priest of Ulfric. He's got heavy armor and a shield. So one of the scenario special rules is you can't bring any magical items on your characters, and all your troop choices have to come from the core section. Fridolf the Fearless leads 32 halberdiers with a banner, 12 crossbowmen, and 5 knightly orders with a banner. And another special rule is that you can't upgrade your core units. Like these knights can't be inner circle knights, they can only be knightly orders. And the greenskin force is led by Bamhuk, the line splitter, on Tusker, his boar. He's a orc big boss on boar, and he's brought a great weapon. He also leads 18 arrow boys. I think this is a seldom used unit. I don't think they have that much of a use in ordinary games, but I think they'll do a lot better in these smaller games, so testing them out. He's also managed to round up 23 savage orcs with additional hand weapon and a banner. So these can't be upgraded. They can't be biggens, so they're just ordinary savage orcs. So they're weapon skill 3, base strength 3, which makes quite a lot of difference. Still a very strong unit. And then he's also managed to round up 20 Night Goblins with a banner, who's obviously is up to no good because they have these dwarven shields and a looted dwarven banner, and somehow they've turned red. So mischievous bunch. And here is a picture of the parlay before the battle. In this escalation campaign, I want to have not necessarily the same generals all the way through, but I hope all the players will try to use the same hero or lord choice, so you can follow the progression of these characters. And that also has to do with this scenario's special rules, where your characters can pick up magical items up to 20 points. So here's the deployment. The Empire started, put down the crossbowmen on that hill. Orcs and goblins then said, well, let's just put down the big unit of savage orcs right by that little chest that's behind those fences. That's one of the magical items you can pick up. You can also pick up magical item by the shaman huts. There's one quite close to the camera and one on the other side of the forest. You can't really see it, but you can pick up magical items there too. So the Empire put down their knights here on their flank. The orcs and goblins deployed their night goblins because they have quite a lot of static combat res, so they can probably hold up the knights for some time just by static combat res and being steadfast. As long as they're within 12 of the general, they should be able to hold. Then the Empire decided to deploy the halberdiers and try to contest that magical item in the middle. They also put Fridolf the Fearless in there. This left the orcs and goblins in a bit of an awkward situation, where they ultimately decided to deploy the arrow boys behind the night goblins, which of course isn't ideal. So Empire gets the first turn and push up rather aggressively, both with the knights and with the halberdiers. The thinking here is they don't want to engage that Savage Orc unit without any form of support, so the knights might be able to come into the flank and make them have a chance in that combat. The crossbowmen do great and manage to pick off an entire rank, 5 Night Goblins, which is really surprising. They're not often as effective, and I think shooting is better with these smaller units running around. So I think shooting is more viable, and especially now when there's in this match no casters and there's no magical items. So greenskins turn 1, no animosity problems. The Night Goblins push up to try to protect the flank of the Savage Orcs. The Aura boys shuffle forward a bit, and the Savage Orcs go full steam ahead, kind of daring the halberdiers to come at them. The special rule with the magical item is that you can pick up the item if you're 3 inches from the shaman's hut, or if the unit the character is in lands on this little chest in the middle of the battlefield. So if the halberdiers were to charge the Savage Orcs, the character could pick up the magical item in the movement phase and then use it in the combat phase against the orcs. And the Aura boys shoot at the halberdiers to whittle them down, but they don't manage to cause any wounds. So not the strongest start for the almost never seen Aura boys. Empire turn 2. So the knights do their charge in against the Night Goblins, and they're thinking they'll probably need another combat round to break this unit, but they have to do something. They can either go into the Aura boys after that, or they could go into the flank of the savages. So the halberdiers and Fridolf the Fearless, he lives up to his name. They don't charge, but they march to take the treasure there. You see the treasure chest, and they stand behind the fence. So the rules for fences is that if you're by a fence like this and someone charges you, they get -1 their hits to attack. So that might work out to hold the line there instead of charging into the savages. And the crossbowmen managed to pick off 1 Savage Orc, which probably about average, not that impressive. And this roll is for the Night Goblins attacking the Knights, and they do spectacular. They hit with a lot of attacks, way above average, and they actually managed to get through the armor save of one of the Knights and pick him off, and in return 4 Night Goblins are killed. So the Night Goblins, they're steadfast, they're within 12 of the general, so they stick on an 8 and they roll like a 9, so they're off. The Knights obviously decides to pursue, and this is the roll for the flee and the pursuit. So the Knights just managed to get 4 on with their swift stride, and those Night Goblins, they hurry away 10 inches. And because it's center to center, and they picked off the Knight at the Goblin's right corner there, they're gonna not run straight back, but at an angle like more towards the Savage Orcs. So they end up there. They do run through the Aura boys, but since they have the special rule size matters, they don't care that the goblins are fleeing. They don't expect more of them. And this puts the knights in a real bad situation, because this is barely, but it's just a flank charge by the Aura boys if they would decide to charge in. So Orc turn 2. The Aura boys decides they're they're done with firing arrows for now and want to get into combat with the knights. And there was no problem with animosity this time either. The savage orcs aren't that keen to charge the halberdiers because the warrior priest got through the battle prayer that gives them re-roll to wounds. So because they have the warrior priest there, they re-roll to hit, and they hit before the orcs. They re-roll to hit, they re-roll to wound. Their strength 4 with their halberds, and the savage orcs are toughness 4. And then the savage orcs are -1 to hit because of that fence. So they don't want to charge in there. But of course, they failed their frenzy test, and here we go. they just decides to, well, a fight is always better than no fight, no matter the circumstances, I guess. And here we see after the charges, the Araboys are in the flank of the knights. The savages are battling it out in the center of the field with the halberdiers, and the night goblins did not manage to rally, so they flee just a tiny bit more. Here's because there's no shooting, and because the Araboys are in combat, and there's no magic in the orc and goblin army. It's straight on to close combat, and the Araboys do great against the knights. I don't remember how the dice went, if they rolled way above average, but there's a good couple of strength 4 attacks against the knights. So, and the knights only get to strike back with 1 knight, but he manages to peel off 1 orc. So yeah, the orcs win that combat and decide to run after the knights, but don't manage to capture them, and there's only 1 knight left because the standard bearer automatically dies when they flee. We also corrected that for the night goblins, so their standard is also gone. And then the halberdiers go in and kill 8 savage orcs, which is just absolutely brutal. And then Bamhuk, the line splitter, decides to go for the warrior priest. He goes after Fridolf the Fearless. So first his boar Tusker goes, and because they charged, Tusker gets the tusked charge rule, so he's at +2 strength, so strength 5, but unfortunately he misses. Bamhuk has 3 attacks with his great weapon, manages to hit with 2 of them, and he's base strength 5, and he has Choppas, that puts him at 6, and he's got a great weapon, so he's at strength 8. But of course, one of his 2 wound rolls is a 1, so he only manages to put 1 wound on Fridolf the Fearless. And Fridolf the Fearless did pick up a magical item. He picked up the +1 strength sword. So the savages aren't steadfast, and they lose by a bunch, so they flee. They luckily get away, but the problem is now it's the Empire's turn, so they're gonna get charged again and have to flee. So this is after the charges. The halberdiers charges the savage orcs, which runs off the table. The halberdiers manage to pass their redirect test and redirect into the goblins, which also runs off the field. So now it's only the Araboys left. We forgot that the knights needed a snake eyes to rally. We correct that later in the match, so he did not in fact rally, as you see here in the picture. So now the crossbowmen have a target again, so and you see the knight is fleeing. So the crossbowmen shoot at the Araboys, manages to kill 2 of them. So in the orc turn, they don't have any problem with animosity, but they decide it's too long of a charge. I think they needed an 11 on the dice to get into the crossbowman. So they shuffle forward their 4 inches and shoot at the crossbowman, and manages to pick up 2 of them, which is surprisingly good, I thought. So again, in the Empire turn, you can see the Halberdiers have reformed to go after the R-boys. The crossbowman shoots at the R-boys, picking off another 3. And in the Orc turn, they decide to go for not a terribly long charge, but still a long charge. And they just managed to get in. 2 more Orcs die in the stand and shoot reaction, the crossbowmen do. And then in combat, the Orcs manages to kill 2 crossbowmen, and the crossbowman manages to kill 1 R-boy. So we looked this up, and you don't get a -1 to combat resolution when charging up a hill. You just get +1 when charging down a hill. So the Orcs win the combat, the crossbowman breaks, and the R-boys pursue, and they both end up off the table. So in the Empire's next turn, the Lone Knight runs away off the board, and the only thing on the board is the Halberdiers along with Fridolf the Fearless. The R-boys will come on their turn, but we thought it would be fine to end the game there. The R-boys aren't gonna kill off all those Halberdiers and Fridolf. So I think a small game like this without a battle standard bearer and no lords as generals, at least no lords with high leadership, it's always gonna depend a lot on what you roll for your leadership tests. Things are going to break much easier. Bad luck of the dice are gonna play bigger effect, I think. But I thought it was really fun to see the underdogs, the R-boys, do well. They they did the most in their match. The unit was it was 126 points, and they managed to take out the knights, which is 120, and the crossbowmen at 108. So yeah, if we go ahead and do this escalation campaign, I hope to see more of their heroic deeds. That's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.